Hey guys, and welcome to Pretty Eyes. My name is Lavana. If this is your first time tuning in on this show, hit that bell so you can get future notifications. Tonight, guys, I'm going to have a special guest, as you can see, and tonight she's going to be talking about her story. Her name is Vivi Cervantes, and she's going to be talking about different things that happened in her abusive relationship. If this is not for you, please turn it over to someone that it can be beneficial for. Also, guys, I want to say thanks for all the texts, all the phone calls, and all the subscriptions that has already been subscribed. If you have not, please hit that bell so you can get this information. It should be very helpful, and I hope that it really encourages someone and beneficial to someone else. So tonight, the segment will be maybe a little longer than usual. You guys know I normally do about 10 or 15 minutes so we can talk with my special guest. And I'm going to be asking her a few questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to her so that way she can deliver her story. With that being said, guys, remember you want to show those pretty eyes. All right, so guys, welcome to the show. This is Phoebe.
Hey.
And Phoebe is going to be telling her story. So the first question that I have for her tonight is, how long were you in the abusive relationship?
It's about 1.5 years.
Okay. And tell the people, what was the first thing that made you, I guess, attracted to this person when you were in that abusive relationship?
I think probably the charm of, what manipulation can be.
Mm-hmm.
Alluring in, not like a regular player type, not like, hey, you're really pretty. An actual, like, stemming from, like, a different trauma when someone tries to relate to you.
Yes.
That way.
Okay.
And so it felt like someone would actually be there for me.
Yes.
In a way that, like, other people weren't.
Yes.
They try to manipulate you into thinking that, you can relate on this level. And
I understand.
So that's kind of what, that was kind of the deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you left the relationship, well, first, before we go into when you left it, tell your story to the people about, the thing that happened, whether it was physical, whether it was emotional, or if it was just, whatever type of abuse that it actually was for you.
There were a few types. There was some physical, just out of anger, definitely emotional and verbal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, we're always quick to respond to when someone gets hit.
Yes.
We're not quick to respond to someone when they are emotionally traumatized, or when someone calls them names that they aren't.
Yes.
Because of somebody else's instability. And so while there's no excuse to hit someone, yes, or to lay your hands on anybody, I think there's a misconception in that being the only scarring thing, yes, when it's really words.
Yes.
That stick with you and stay with you. When you hear them over and over, then you believe them about yourself.
This is true.
If you don't know who you are, you will take on the identity that they, want you to have, yes, because they want to keep you under their little cloud.
Their thumb.
Yes,
that's right. So they can further control you, yes, further manipulate your mind, and to make you feel like that's the person that you need to be listening to.
Oh yes, like there is nobody else, yeah, that will take
and
you
that's
as
what's
you
so
are.
sad.
It is sad.
It's sad because there is a lot of women and men, and yep, I always say that women are not the only people that go through an abusive relationship.
True. I know too many.
If a person is constantly, like she said, name calling or telling you things about yourself, eventually you keep hearing it, you will start to believe it.
Yeah, just dissing you, yeah, whether you're a male or female, that has got to go.
Yeah, that's not okay. That's not good.
No.
It's not good. Mm-mm. And when did you realize it was time for you to go? And tell your story to the people.
I think the moment, I remember a specific day, I was on the phone pacing back and forth. Mm-hmm. It was like cold outside. Mm-hmm. And it's weird how, like, you remember, like, the specific moment.
Yes.
Sometimes they're kind of blurry, but I do remember this specific thing. I was on the phone, and this person, just the day before, said how much I was loved, how much I was adored, and that he just wanted to give everything up for me in, yes, life, and give me everything, and that I could be his everything, right?
Yeah. And
we were very good friends as well. Mm-hmm. And, little lines that are just like, oh, I've just waited to see
Yeah.
you and talk to you.
Where
All
you
those
been
things.
all my life?
Yeah, it's not like
Mm-hmm.
exactly those things, but a lot of the times it's more so like the big, like long-term thoughts that they might have that make you think, oh yeah, this person does really want to be with me as I am.
Yes.
Well, accept
Flaws
me as
and
I
everything.
am. Right.
That's right.
So, the next day, I was on the phone with him the day before. Then the next day, he started calling me names. He started dissing my weight. He started dissing my face, the way that I looked. He said that I couldn't be independent. He said that I would never be anything in life without him.
That's some severe verbal abuse.
Yes, and calling me all kinds of names and saying that I would never be strong enough to be something on my own.
No.
And, whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever. That's right.
And that was the moment that I realized something's wrong here. And you feel kind of stupid that was the moment because there's been several moments
before that.
Yes, before
but that's
that.
okay because everybody has their wake up moment
yes.
where they get it and like, I'm not supposed to be treated this way.
Yes.
And guys, before she finished telling her story, if you're going through something like that, whether it's man or woman, get yourself out of a situation like that, because I always say that God did not put us here on this earth to be tormented, talked about.
No.
He created us, and we beautifully made. Nobody is perfect, but just the way we are, there is love out there on the other side for someone that's been in an abusive relationship, whether you're coming out of it or whether you just got out of it and you may not know how to deal with the emotions of trying to move forward. All right, I'm sorry.
No,
Continue.
no, go ahead. And then I guess, I since this person also has tendencies to be stalker-ish, which is always fun, right? Gotta live it up. May as well party.
It's crazy.
It is. Like my fear was because of threats. My fear was, are you going to show up? Because a lot of the times he did in places that I did not know he would be. And so, I should have known before. We all have that, so don't feel
like, why is this happening just to me? Because it does happen to a lot of people, and a lot of times people don't look at it as stalking. They look at it like, oh, he just can't get over me, or he just wants to. He's a little jealous, but that jealous and that all that.
A little
that's
jealous
is
too much jealous.
Yeah, that's right. When it turns to obsession, that is not love. And remember, guys. Love does not hurt. Love is kind, and love is patient.
Yes. And so my fear in seeing that moment clearly for what it was, from him being one person one day to another person the next day.
And what do you think about those moments for him flip-flopping, back and forth?
I was terrified because it was my best friend one day, and then the next day it was like the most horrible person I've ever encountered.
What do you think triggered those things, in him to make him, go back and forth?
I think that another thing that we don't often look at here is there's a lot of mental instabilities.
Yes, indeed.
And just because someone has instabilities does not make you responsible.
Yes. And remember, we went over that, guys.
Them.
That's right.
For helping them. You can help someone as long as it doesn't become something that's detrimental for you.
Yes.
And so, in my head, I knew that he had some struggles that, we all have struggles. This isn't a judgment upon mental instability. But once that instability becomes your problem and harmful to you, you got to get out.
You got to go. That's right.
And so, those were the things crossing my mind because he had shown up in places that I didn't want him. And, where he wasn't welcomed. And, from that point, I didn't want him to start showing up where, people were around as well. It was just me when he would show up. Yes. And so those were the things going through my head, like, how do I leave? Because I have to leave.
Yeah.
But then if I leave, will I die?
Yeah. That's scary because you don't know, what the person is thinking in their mind. And you may think you know the person, but once those moments of their self come out and they're, in attack mode, you don't know what they're thinking, what they're going to do, if somebody's going to be around. So the best thing I always say is to tell someone that you can confide in, whether that's a coworker, family member, or just someone. So that person that you trust in can know your whereabouts in case something happens, because this stuff can get real dangerous. And, we went over, guys, statistics, I'm sorry, about a few weeks ago about how many women die in just a yearly time. I mean, it's like every 30 seconds, a woman is dying from domestic violence, and about 30 to 40 men a year is dying from domestic violence. So it's very serious. If this is a touchy situation for some people, turn this over to someone that is going through something like that. Maybe it could help them wisen up, or maybe her story can help somebody leave the abuser and stay gone, because a lot of people go back and forth before they get it correct. All right, and finish.
Yeah, so the other thing, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, because of the statistic situation. Regardless of how crazy, oh my language, oh my God, how
that's
crazy,
fine. This is real.
Yes, someone can get, and how scared you feel.
Don't fear them.
It's most important to take the steps to protect yourself practically.
Yeah.
With that being said, you got to know that you don't have to watch your own back.
Yeah.
And that is what got me out.
Yes.
Because I had a lot of self-condemnation regarding the situation.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that it was my fault, thinking I knew I should have ever been
here. And everybody
here.
thinks like that at first. Like, what did I do? Or maybe if I be nicer, or maybe if I just calm down and don't make them mad, and
Or even like, why was I here to begin with? I knew better. I think that we have that sometimes too.
You do, and you fight against it.
Yes, and you're wasting time fighting against that when you could be actually healing and understanding that. The Lord is your shepherd, in whom there is no lack.
That's right. That's
right.
Yeah.
He's not going to leave you in lack of protection.
That's
lack doesn't just mean we think of finances, we think of food. Yeah, but when I think there is no lack, I think of protection.
That's right, because he protects everything.
He does.
About us, because he loves us, guys. And y'all know, I've already told y'all that what helped me was Psalms 91. Yep. And Psalms 23 and 27. Those are some very powerful scriptures that keep the enemy at bay, especially if you're trying to really move forward and do better with your life and get a new life, change some things around.
And you still got to take those practical steps as well. You know, we're not being, not logical about the situation. We're not just saying, oh yeah, God has me protected, and then just like leaving it.
Yeah.
That's not the right thing to do too.
And keep praying.
Yes.
Both. They work together.
He gives you the wisdom, even if it's just one step at a time. I know how painful that can be.
Yeah.
Just
one day at a time.
Step at a time.
That's right.
Into, okay, so what if, so somebody with the law, like, okay, now they know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what is a piece of paper when you have, like, say, a restraining order? And if the abuser comes to get you, when you've already done the proper things in court, that piece of paper is not going to keep them from trying to do something. You can't wave it in their face and be like, look what I got against you.
Unfortunately, that's not how things work.
Yeah, so sometimes it can be too late, for someone. So, taking those steps is very important. If you are in that kind of situation where you need to take further steps by getting a restraining order, please do so. Because not saying that it does not work, because you can make a phone call and get someone arrested for something like that. Stalking, harassing,
But
things
building
like
a relationship with the people who have, the law in their hands, it's a good thing to establish that relationship with them. And just letting them know kind of your backstory, give them a report.
Yeah.
And help yourself and those around you. I know that you probably fear, like, oh, well, what if they show up to an event or whatever? No.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You just got to take the step.
That's right.
The practical steps. From that point in the event, they should show up and the policemen aren't there, or that you don't have that paper, like you were saying.
Yeah, you can't wave that piece of paper.
Right, you do have to truly know and believe and understand that you are protected.
That's right.
And so, that sounds so cliche. It sounds like, oh, well, everything's just, handy-dandy now. It's not, it's not that at all. You got to know. And it's not, well, that's all I know to do. No. It's not all you know to do. It is the thing to do.
Yeah.
And so as you take the practical steps to get yourself and those around you protected, understand as well, in the event should something arise, just because those things are there doesn't mean it's the answer.
Yeah.
And so the answer is the fact that you can look that person in the face and say,
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done and I'm out of here.
And it sounds unrealistic. It does.
But it's true.
Believe me, I know. She knows.
Yeah, once you build that strength up in yourself, you can look them in the eye and say, I'm done. You know, hey, I'm better than this. What am I doing? Mm-hmm. You know? And once you have that strength built up, but that first thing, ladies and gentlemen, you have to get that strength built up back in yourself. And that comes from being self-sustained for yourself, reading that word, taking the practical steps like she was saying, but also showing yourself a good time and take things slow. You know, don't just rush yourself, because a lot of people rush and then they go right back. Right. And then they're back in the same situation.
Right.
Then you got to figure out, how do I get out of this again? Mm-hmm. You know. So the next question I have is, you told already when you realized it was time to go.
Yes.
What was the turning point for you though? Besides, the phone call.
It was funny because I was kind of running, I don't want to say running away from God. I've been in church forever, mm-hmm. and I suddenly did not believe that there was a God in life. Wow. I looked up at the ceiling to yell at God, and my mouth opened, and nothing came out, mm-hmm. and tears rolled down my face.
Because it wasn't for you to say nothing, especially in a yelling tone.
Right. I know what you said. Yeah, there was nothing for me to say because I didn't believe that there was someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, even when I didn't pray, mm-hmm. He heard the cry of my heart.
Yeah, and he bottles our tears.
Yes, and so, that was actually the last time I remember crying.
Yeah.
And until an event actually that... my now pastor mm-hmm. was doing a book tour around the U.S. Mm-hmm. He's out of Singapore. Mm-hmm. And I actually didn't enjoy his messages because I thought that they were giving me license to be involved in what I was involved in. Mm-hmm. And I still, though I didn't believe in God, I had like very religious tendencies. Not religion in like, this is what I believe in, but self-righteousness. Mm-hmm. And that only got me in like the situation I was in to begin with. Mm-hmm. And so what got me out was it's a long story, but I ended up accidentally at the Power of Right Believing tour with Pastor Joseph Prince in mm-hmm. 2013, the end of 2013. Mm-hmm. And it was like a couple of weeks before that I was just trying to figure out my life, mm-hmm. trying to figure out how am I going to leave. Mm-hmm. And then I accepted the fact that this is what I deserve because this is what I've done, this is what I'm in, right? Mm-hmm. And these are just the consequences, and I'm just going to have to own up to this for the rest mm-hmm. of my life because I had people telling me that.
Yeah.
In the church.
That's not cool.
I had people telling me that I had to own up to my responsibilities, that I'm going to have to pay for this, that I'm going to always have to mm-hmm. deal with the consequences of this, and that was just straight up from the pit of hell.
Yeah, but God.
Yes, He cares mm-hmm. enough to get to you mm-hmm. personally. And so I accidentally ended up at this event mm-hmm. Of Pastor Joseph Prince, who I did not like. But my parents liked him, and me and my brother and aunt ended up at the event accidentally. Mm-hmm. And there was a line. And he was standing at the edge of the stage. I remember it so clearly. Mm-hmm. And he said, God will never impute to you the same sin He imputed His Son for. Mm-hmm. And I was like, huh? And I just kind of like, mm-hmm. I shut down the rest of the time because I kept repeating that in my head. Mm-hmm. Thinking, so that means that I mm-hmm. don't always have to deal with this. Yes. That means I don't always have to like struggle with this for the rest of my yes. life. And I got a peace and I just started just bawling, and I'm not mm-hmm. a crier, first mm-hmm. of all. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't crying out of pain. It was just crying because I was so like thankful that I had that moment of peace in the middle of like this mm-hmm. like big time of me trying to make a decision of like how am I going to move forward with this. I suddenly realized that I didn't really have to have my hands on it. Mm-hmm. And it was within 24 to 48 hours and then a couple of weeks that I was able to boldly just say, bye.
Yeah, yeah.
and without
and you feel
fear.
You feel like also by attending that event that you heard the word from God, but God gave you the strength. That's the main
Absolutely.
part. To say, I'm done.
Absolutely, because then I opened one of Pastor Prince's books, and it was what I said earlier. He's my good shepherd, and in him there's no lack, right?
Yes.
It fell open to that.
Yes.
I was putting the book down, and it fell open to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just read it over and over and over, and I was like, so that means I don't have to have my own strength.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have my own willpower. I don't have to have my own tenacity.
Yeah.
It's all going to be his face in his face. It's all going to be his words to his ears. That way, I don't have to be involved. Mm-hmm. Though I'm the messenger to this person who harmed me, from this point on, it's not my identity that I'm facing him with. Mm-hmm. It's Jesus's, because as he is in heaven, so am I in this world.
Yes, indeed.
And I have that power. I have that strength. He died and was risen and ascended that I can live life abundantly.
Yes.
And that is not a gumdrops and lollipops, because we still go through things.
Yeah.
But the reality, our reality in Christ is understanding that we don't have to face things.
That's right.
He faces them with our face.
That's right.
Because we still have to talk to people. We still have to be the ones to address things, right?
Right.
But understand that you have his face going into that situation and walking out of it.
That's right.
And no matter how long it takes, whether it's a year, and Yvonne helped me through some things last year regarding the protocols or whatever in these certain situations that you should take
the steps.
Yes, and
get this ball rolling.
And so these different things all adding up are very it's not to be like optimistic or positive, but kinda accidentally, that you do have a bright future.
Yeah. And
you don't have to let that control anything that you do.
Bring you down. And y'all know I always say, you don't have to be sad, dreary, depressed, dwelling on the past or even the present for some people.
Right.
Remember, this whole show was about encouraging someone to lift your spirits up, to get you out of that situation. If you feel stuck, you don't know what to do, or even if you're out of it, what steps to take. And at the end of the show, I'm going to leave in the description box the 800 number that is just for you to call free. It's a free call. That way, if you want to talk to someone, because if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, I understand. But there's someone that can be biased about the situation, and you can talk to them anonymously. And the last question I have for you, Phoebe, is what are you doing today?
I'm working. I'm having fun. I mean, there's COVID season, but hanging out with taking all the precautions necessary and living life, and just starting things up that I want to start up, regardless of whatever people said I couldn't do. And
That's
it's
right.
Not because I can do them, but because He can do them in me.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a word.
Yes, and so just enjoying family and being open more in relationships.
That's right.
That's one thing I will say.
Yes, see, this is good.
The fact that you can open up to the people around you, they're not going to react the way you thought that they would.
Because a lot of times people are, they kind of shut down, or they get into like this little ball, kind of like a worm crawling under a rock, and they just stay there, and they stay there until they start getting depressed, and then they feel like everybody's against them, but really is the depression setting in. They need to open up, like you're saying, and be available for new relationships, whether that's new friends, a new man, new woman, whatever it is. But remember, I told you guys to make sure you take things slow. Don't let anybody rush you into something you don't feel comfortable with. But be friends. Get you a good friend. Get you a good guy friend, a good girlfriend, somebody that you can confide in, someone you can read the Bible with, somebody you can do fun stuff with. And, move forward.
And somebody that will accept you with this. And the other thing is,
with your past.
If you give a little bit of your story to somebody and they shy away from you, good
not
for you.
Person.
You lost that baggage that you don't need.
Because some people I don't feel is designed or strong enough to deal with a person that's been in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And if some people can take that, that's fine. But that just means that's not the person for you.
Right. And it's okay. It's not a diss to them, but you don't need that weakness in your life.
That's right. You need something strong, moving forward.
Yeah.
And accepting you, like she said, with the flaws or with the past,
they don't
or different
care.
Emotions, that come, that may happen.
Yep. They will stay by your side if they're supposed to be in your life.
Yeah.
And so there's never any lost hope in relationships. There's no lost hope in being honest with people about who you are and what you've been through and where you are today and how you got here.
That's right.
And just move forward.
Leave it
back there,
because you don't want to take old baggage. You don't want to take old problems into a new relationship
that don't exist.
That's right. And remember, I told you guys in a couple of previous shows that God is not going to send you someone in your life to make you go through the same thing you just came out of.
No, so if it's anything like that.
Yeah, so if you're attracting a person that's like that means it's something in you that you need to work on, something that you need to kind of do a self-evaluation. So that way you can stop attracting different abusive people,
Yeah, and the way you do that, I think, is by seeing Jesus for who he is.
Yeah.
And
accepting his will for your life.
That part.
That's a lot of people that just going on through life, but like, why is this happening to me? Because you're not accepting the will that he wants to do in your life. And the things that he's telling us to do, we be hard-headed, we don't obey. And sometimes, I'm not saying that abuse can happen to you because you're not listening to God, but sometimes you hear that small voice and you go against it. It's just like what she was saying in the beginning.
That small voice.
That's the Holy Spirit.
It is.
That's the Holy Spirit.
Listen.
So listen, please listen. Because I've been very hard-headed, and it was a very long, hard walk. I'm just
He's
so glad.
He's with you there through it, but he don't want you to go through it.
You don't have to go through it. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
So guys, I just want to say, thank you so much, Phoebe, for coming on the show tonight. It's very welcome. And I'm just really glad that she came. And I really hope that her story, the information that we both put out this evening will help someone. Please encourage someone. Pass it over to someone. Anybody that you know that can use this information. I love you guys. And I always tell y'all, put God first. Take care of yourself. And remember, show those pretty eyes. Until next week, guys, I will have a second guest next week. Thanks so much for the support. Don't forget to subscribe. And see you guys next week. And remember, this show tunes every Thursday. So tune in. Pass it to somebody. Maybe it can help somebody. Have a good evening, guys. Good night.